Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Welcome to Hug Nation's Love Morning. This is a daily practice, a daily meetup, a daily appointment with ourselves and one another to share gratitude and remind ourselves who we want to be today. I am so looking forward to hearing what you might be appreciating in your world. And I cannot wait to tell you about a profound dose of gratitude that I was hit with yesterday. And the image on the screen right now is a teaser. Dun dun dun. But now, as we sit together and think about what we are going to share, I hope you find a bunch of things about which you really care. Because when we share our gratitude and we gather with our friends, it doesn't matter if we got here at the start or if we stay to the end. Because it's Love Morning. This song is just for you. Oh, this is Love Morning. Maybe I'll sing songs for two, and if it's Love Morning, you realize I'm making this up on the spot. Oh, it's Love Morning. I hope you like it a lot. Da, 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 da. Okay. Good morning. I was at choir practice this week, and I was sharing with a woman how the choir is an edge for me. And, I am pushing myself to participate. And she goes, "Oh, you don't like to sing?" And I was like, "Well, I do sing every morning, but I make up a song." And it's the lyrics memorizing. It's the singing a song where there is a right and wrong way to do it. And the fear of doing it wrong. It's this old inner, response to fear of making mistakes, fear of doing it wrong. But I really think that the choir is a more helpful practice, a more helpful healing tool for me than I imagined. I'm having moments when I'm not feeling fear that I anticipated, or I'm not feeling anxiety that I thought I would. And there's times when I'm feeling anxiety or I make the mistake, and I have to remind myself, I chose this. You were courageously, bravely making a decision to do a thing, knowing that there would be feelings like this. So be with it. Let it go. So I'm pretty proud of myself. And the environment is actually, it's so good. It's not like what's that movie, Rimshot, or where the drummer and the drumming teacher's like, no, no, no. It's so forgiving. Lisa's leading the choir, and she's just so kind. In fact, she announced a policy at the last choir where she said, if you make a mistake, stand up and go, woohoo, so that we can know that it's fine to make mistakes. We're going to celebrate mistakes. And only a couple people did it during practice, legitimately said, woohoo, but I was one of those people. During the last song, I could not get it. And so as the song ended, I went, woohoo! Good morning, Juan. Juan says, I live the songs. But I think you meant I love the songs. But either way, I love it. I too live the songs. And I love that you love the songs. Thanks, Juan. They're less songs and more like morning jingles. Occasionally they go a few lines, multiple stanzas. But it means a lot to me to knowing that there are people like you, Juan, and Gerbat when he's here, that always seem to be good sports and supportive of my morning improv. Good morning, High Noon. High Noon says, happy Thursday from a beautiful porch I am on, surrounded by so many beings of the natural world. Gratitude for sharing about your interaction of those in the choir. Thank you, High Noon. If you can think of it, want to share any of the examples of nature in your world? For example, I just saw a squirrel run up the tree, and I can see eucalyptus swaying in the breeze beside me. I can see some canyon brush out there. If I move my head, I can see the rose bush that I planted for Lisa and the little budding tomato plant. Some yucca, which my dad will make a point to say every time he mentions the word, yucca. I love that word. Well, I am grateful for some just wonderful quality time I got to spend with my beloved Lisa yesterday. She was gone for a number of days, and boy, that whole absence make the heart grow fonder. That ain't that the truth. I was so present and treasuring the moments that we had. Even we watched an episode of Ted Lasso last night, and after she made this yummy dinner of intermittent dinner, lyrics, names, something about my brain when I have the precursor thought like, ooh, what is the name for blank? Or what is that person's name? The part of my brain that does like the triage and sends, okay, that's where the information is. It goes, oh, you want a specific proper noun? No. We're not going to deliver that. Make do. Tamales! Yes, I got you. I mean, thank you for cooperating. So I wonder if I should tell you my bee story. I made a whole little video about, it's like a minute and a half long, about the bee adventure. Maybe I will show the video because it's got some visuals that will be helpful for me to discuss afterwards. But in preface, you know, if you've been here a few days, that I set up this green screen studio. I've been working on it and investing money with materials, and I hired someone to help me build it out, and I've been tweaking it. And as soon as I got it up and running with lights and stuff, the downstairs basement area started swarming with bees. And like I got footage of me, it's like not only can you see them on screen, you can hear them. I'm like, this is not gonna work. What am I gonna do? And Lisa was very, very clear that we were going to try to save the hive at all cost. And even if the owners didn't want to pay for it, because the cheapest thing would be to just, exterminate. But we were prepared to, figure out what it would cost. But when I called a bee rescue place, they looked at where it was and they said, we're going to have to rip out so much stucco. And I made the very hard choice to say, I'm going to work with the property managers and do what they need to do. And if Lisa's upset or she's upset at me, that I'm going to just handle it. And that's going to be, I'm going to take care of it. And then, good morning, Gerbot. Oops. And then, I really think this will be helpful. And then I'll tell you more about what I'm showing you. All right.
So I've been setting up this green screen, and in the process realized that we have bees in the wall.
Yeah, so the studio might be unusable in the near future because of bees.
I called the bee rescue place, and they looked at it and were like, ooh, this is going to require ripping apart the walls. Lisa started making plans to make a grief ceremony. She was so upset about the idea of killing the bees. And then this morning, the We Save Bees truck rolled up, and these two angels in white suits, like astronauts, looked at it and said, no problem.
This is the full setup, but basically you can see this is the cone and it leads inside to where they were getting in. So it allows the bees to still come out,
but not back in. So then the hive runs out of food, and then the queen stops laying eggs, and then eventually they all leave and take up residence in the new hip place, which happens to be in a box that can be moved. Initially I thought, well, how can I use the bees to my advantage? I considered making a ASMR buzzing YouTube channel in case people might get tingles from the buzz. Queen bee, honey, honey. Honey. But most of my plans for videos don't include bees. I cannot tell you how relieved I am to know that I am not going to be responsible for the destruction of this beautiful colony. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We save bees. Now, for those of you who are upset that the ASMR Bees channel is not going to happen, I still think it's a gold mine, and maybe I'll revisit it someday. Be looking out for it.
So I cannot, I mean, it was amazing how relieved I was when they showed the door and they told me that they could handle it and they would be able to do it. Because, I mean, I was at a place where I'm like, I understand we got to do what we got to do to live here. And sometimes nature, you know, like if I can take a spider and bring it out of the house, I'm going to. But there are times when I do feel like I got to kill a bug. Or I use traps downstairs for rats that kill them. I don't rehouse the rats. And dude, the We Save Bees group is so awesome. And it was so cool. So they make this, it's like a one-way tube. And I mean, as soon as they set it up, like there's way more bees over there than I realized that are in the wall, like a lot of bees. And so far so good. And even my downstairs, they kind of sealed it all up and cleaned it out. So like I can already use the studio again. And it's like, like Holocaust averted. Yes. You know, it was like, I felt like I had got to the point where I was gonna have to put my partner's pet down and deal with her grief, and then realizing, not deal with, but like, you know, I'd have to be partially responsible and comfort her as she was going to go through this really emotional period, and then to find out that we don't have to go through that, like, yes. So fascinating, so appreciative to We Save Bees in San Diego, so appreciative of my property managers who like listened when I said, hey, we would really like to rehouse the bees, and decided to go with I'm sure it's not the cheapest solution. So grateful, such a huge, oh man. You know, I mean, I know there's so many struggles in the world at every moment, all the time, but I certainly let myself celebrate yesterday I mean, it's not resolved, but the plan of resolution for this problem that has been growing, quite frankly, over the last few weeks. Good morning, Gerbot. Yeah, isn't that great? I'm so happy. I gave them I was so happy that when they told me they were going to be able to do it, that I brought them, I go, one of my love languages is stickers. And so I gave them a sticker that said, be the reason that somebody believes people are good. Because in that moment I was feeling like, thank goodness for people like them, you know? And as soon as I told Lisa I gave the sticker, she goes, oh, you should have made it say, be the reason. And I was like, oh, that would have been more clever. And so I ran inside and, oh, come on. I ran inside and made this. And then I went to print it out and it was like light pink. I'm like, no, a bee sticker, a bee sign, it's gotta be yellow. And realized that my that my printer wasn't working. So I did all the things on the printer, you know, like, okay, I'm gonna run the test pattern. I'm gonna do all the cleaning itself programs that you can do, and nothing was working. The yellow still wasn't working. So I go online and find that you can buy these kits to put cleaning solution to unclog. I'm like, okay. So amazingly, you know, I order it and I get it same day on Amazon. So last night, you know, at like 9 p.m., I got this kit to clean my printer, and I'm following along online and I'm following the directions, and you've got to take screws out and pop this thing off. And then it says there's no hinge, so you got to be careful. You got to just like prop it up. So I prop up this top, and as I'm working on it, and I'm watching the video and going back. I'm not a confident handyman. So I'm doing it. I'm going back, and then I jostle it, and the lid falls backwards and rips out some ribbons that I don't know what they do. And I wasn't even that far along. So I closed it back up and turned it on to see if the ribbons, maybe they'd always been that way. There was one that was attached and two that weren't, and these two cords, and it said scanner error. Turn off power. And no matter what I do, it wouldn't get past the scanner error. I'm like, I don't ever use a scanner, but it wouldn't let me bypass the scanner error. So I'm like, well, I tried to not make this landfill, and I've broken it. I'm sure a technician could figure out how to reattach those ribbons, but it wasn't a plug that pulled out. It was just, so I was like, it was not something so you know what I did? I went online and I saw that even though it's 10 p.m., I could order it and it could be here between 4 a.m. and 8 in the morning, which is actually too early because our gate doesn't open until 7 or 6:30. So I said, I'll get a new one and have it delivered. And I already have a new printer this morning. So I tried. I was slightly frustrated and also so grateful for the incredible sci-fi world of supply chain, instant distribution of physical goods. It's incredible. I mean, along with it comes the collapse of our local small business, world. But while I mourn that, I will be grateful for the fact that I will not go more than a couple hours without the ability to print. Amazing. Gerbot says, look at you, John, fixing things. I think I'll say, look at you, John, trying to fix things. Kind of like I'm trying to be in the choir. I'm doing my best. High News says, did you email the organization what you made? I did. Actually, I showed it to them before they left. I said, hey, this is how it printed out, but this is what it looked like on the screen. This is what and they go, oh, we love a good bee pun. And then I texted it to them because they had contacted me. And actually, they took some of the video, like in the video, you heard a voice explaining what was going on. That was her footage and her voice. So they shared with me the video that they took that I used in there. And I haven't sent them the video I made. I sent them the graphic, but not the video. I'll send it to them right now. Thank you for the reminder. I hadn't intended to. Actually, I had intended to show them before. Oh, well, I haven't uploaded it yet, so I can show it to them and say, hey, did I cut anything out critical, or did I paint you guys in a light that doesn't make sense? Living in the future, says Gerbot. Good and bad. We are definitely living in the future. And speaking of living in the future, one thing that I keep having to remind myself is that science has evolved since I was a child. Not the concept of science and testing and hypotheses, but the baseline understandings of the way the world works has evolved. And I would challenge you to ask yourself these questions that I'm asking, which is, or to remind yourself, like, there are a lot of assumptions that we have about the world, or, like about what dinosaurs looked like, or I can't think of an example right now, but there's, some of these like fundamental ideas about the universe and history, or like the ages of the pyramids and the ages of early civilizations and early ruins. I mean, these are ideas that changed over the last 50 something years, and I will occasionally realize that I still have a belief or of a fact about the world and history that is no longer considered to be what the scientific community accepts or thinks. I just saw, I think, talking about that. At what year in the evolution of humanity did humans build a pyramid that was taller, build any structure that was larger than a pyramid? And the answer was the World Fair in Paris when they made the Eiffel Tower. Up until then, the pyramids remained the tallest structures created by humans. Isn't that incredible? Yay, good morning, Sherry. Sherry says, preparing for a math exam today, so struggling to find gratitude, loads of anxiety. The good news is that I think this is a very normal way to feel about this. I would probably be a robot if I was not a bit anxious before a math exam, right? I mean, that's kind of a fundamental human baseline trait. Grateful that my feelings are appropriate for the situation. I've studied, I'll likely be okay. Yeah, I think that's totally normal. I think, I think depending on how debilitating it is, you can do a little work on your thoughts and remind yourself, like, what are the actual consequences? Like what is you don't want to do bad on the test, but worst case scenario, most things in your life would be okay. Most of the important things, you wouldn't lose any fingers, you would still have your eyesight, all the things. And the other thing is that you have prepared as best you can. So really the only outcome, the only possible outcome is as good as you can. Even if you have a less than ideal connection to your mind in that moment, that's the best you could have done in that moment. That's all I mean, to be worried that you could do anything better than that is to fight reality. So you're going to do exactly perfectly for who you are and this moment in your life. Well done, Sherry. You're about saying that black holes exist or how gold is created, right? Those are like brand new ones, aren't they? Which I haven't even been fully keeping track of. I've just seen some headlines. Isn't that, yeah, like, or there's a big one, which is, well, what's bigger than a black hole? When I say big one, I mean like a significant scientific understanding that is part of our base scientific teachings that affects the way we look at the universe, the world, and our relationship to it, is the idea of the competitive nature of forests and how plants compete for resources. And, they try to get each other's sun, and that idea of evolution and nature is in this survival of the strongest is inaccurate. It is survival of the fittest, and collaboration and the ability to collaborate is a trait that is rewarded through evolution. And forests share resources. Trees communicate with each other. Forests, certain types of species will warn other species if there are invasion, certain types of pests. And it's just that the metaphor of competition that inundates Western culture, partially because it feels justified because that is the law of nature, is not the law of nature. The law of nature is collaborative. I mean, there's also competition. There's also horrific, there's horrific violence in nature, but it is also collaborative. And in fact, the reason why Homo sapiens evolved and have become such a dominant species is because of collaboration. Natasha says, "Good morning from hot Albuquerque. What happened with the bees? I'm so grateful for the hummingbird couple that have been entertaining me on my back porch this morning. They were pretty persistent about me not having refilled the feeder, so I did it, and they're dancing around and drinking now." Nice. I played a video earlier, but our property manager helped us find a group locally called We Save Bees, and they have made a contraption that is helping the bees to leave but not re-enter the hive. And then they've created an alternate hive right next to it with honeycomb in it, so it has scent that draws them in, and gradually that is going to fill with the colony. And then as the fewer and fewer bees return with pollen and food, the queen will stop laying eggs, and eventually they will all migrate out of the existing hive, and they'll be able to return and pick up this cardboard box with a hive inside and rehouse it. Amazing. Thank you. We Save Bees. The truck says, "We Save Bees." I go, "You guys are amazing. What's the name of your company?" They're like, "We Save Bees." Hopefully you heard that bee update. Gerbot says, "Grateful for access to all the world's information at my fingertips and for my personal digital tutor and assistant." Yeah. I had someone yesterday, I had a conversation, I was kind of saying, they asked me sort of some feedback, and I said, all this complimentary stuff, and I said, and sometimes you approach a conversation with a lot of certainty about your way of seeing things. And sometimes my perspective is like, maybe, but I'm not sure. And he was like, well, I've done so much research. And my feeling was, exactly. Like, access to all the world's information means many perspectives around things. For example, anybody listen to the telepathy tapes? Unbelievable. But I felt a responsibility to listen to a counterpoint of someone who was addressing, someone's at the door. Oh no. Will you give me 1 second? It was the queen bee, and they were just saying they were a little frustrated initially, but now they understand and they appreciate us not annihilating their colony. No, it's not how it was. I'm so happy to have help with the cleaning person today. And sorry if I stopped that mid-sentence. Oh, but I guess my point was that it's fine if you gather all the information that you can on a subject and decide how you believe. But even within that certainty, I think it's important to recognize that there's probably other ways of thinking about it and people that see other evidence as being valid. Very often I try to get my head around what the alternate perspective is, and I just can't do it. Hope says, mycelia network the Earth's nervous system. Exactly. Yeah, sharing and collaboration. Exactly. Like this is the law of nature. Gratitude for mycelium. Seriously, I mean, mushroom. Yay, we saved the bees. Yes. Yes, the Telepathy Tips is a podcast. I think they're trying to make it into a documentary, though. Good morning, Michael. Michael says, my lion's mane mushrooms are getting so big, going to have an abundance to make capsules, it looks like. That's so I have friends who grow different types of mushrooms, and as they show me the process, I realize that my understanding is it takes a lot of precision, so you don't introduce any contaminants. And my way is not that precise. I'll just say that. I tend to. Well, if you heard me earlier, I tried to fix my printer last night and I broke it. Hope is grateful the governor of Colorado just cleared all mushroom-related criminal records. Whoa! Apologized for public policy getting it wrong. Whoa! Does that mean that people who are serving time are released? That's wow. I'm grateful that I'm going to Colorado on Sunday, leaving Sunday for a week with Lisa's family to celebrate her dad's 80th birthday. So next week, pretty good chances that I will not be broadcasting. Uncertain. I never know what the situation will be while I'm abroad, traveling, but I like to, part of the policies of Love Morning is that immediacy is a priority. And so I will be present for the vacation as my priority, and if I can figure out how to do this as well, we shall. But Otherwise, I look forward to all of us enjoying our time seeking and sharing gratitude on our own for a week. That's so great, Hope. Wow. Heinun says, the one thing that stood out to me in that podcast was that those who are neurodivergent need a voice and to be seen. One love. Michael says, I go through a ton of isopropyl alcohol. It really does take a level of mindfulness. They want to grow, but so do other undesirable things. I think there's a metaphor in there somewhere. Who else has got something that they're feeling grateful for? I'm grateful that I think my broadcast is looking pretty good today. This is not my new camera. This is a camera I bought years ago to try to do this with. But I can't record on the camera while I'm doing this, so it didn't work for me. But I thought I would try it as a webcam, and I think it looks nicer. Actually, I can do you guys want to see a quick test? You up for like helping me test? Okay, so this is this new Sony. This is new Sony, and this is the webcam. This is me on the webcam, like a Logitech webcam, which, you know, for a webcam, I think is pretty darn good. But I think, oh wait, is it not going? Oh yeah, it is. I think it is. Yeah, but I think this one, this one just looks, colors are richer and deeper and all that. Hope asked what the dissenting opinion of the telepathy tapes was, and I'm going to consciously choose not to share that because I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. I don't think there's anything wrong with listening and believing in the telepathy tapes without questioning it. So that's kind of what I said. Like, I think an appropriate way to live is to find information that you believe in, look at the evidence and go, yes, this is true for me. But in the back of your mind, know that, and I know that everything is mostly possible, you know, like without too much attachment to anything. Because we are always learning fundamental things are different. And we also, our brains don't have the capacity to be non-judgmental and be truly open-minded. We think we can be, but we can't. It is impossible. You cannot help but to have a stronger reaction of believability to things that are already in line with what you believe. But that's not necessarily a bad thing because, one, placebo. So if you believe that your essential oils are going to keep you from catching cold, it is as effective as any other medically, sold product. So why tell someone that their beliefs, science has shown that doesn't work? Don't say that. Science has shown that placebo works. So yeah, rub some Windex on it. Whatever thing you think works. But just also know that it's irresponsible to teach or force other people to do things without wrapping it in that, hey, this has always worked for me. That is true. This works. That's not true. Heinlein says, grateful for getting deeper into men's community and starting to organize a men's campout retreat. So awesome. So stoked and proud of you, and I love hearing all this. Juan says, when you fix something that was broken and you break it, you only confirm that it was broken. That's kind of how I felt about breaking the printer. It was like, it's kind of like, you know, if the patient came in from a car wreck and, should I even keep going with this metaphor? You know, they're like, oh, we're going to lose him. And I go, I've got a Hail Mary. I'm going to try to stitch this missing limb to his back and see if I can make the aorta attach to his leg. It didn't work. Okay, well, we tried. All right, that was a terrible. Sorry about that. Hope says, Sony all day. And Michael also says the Sony was much nicer looking than the webcam. Great, good. And the reason why I care is because, like, I have a system right now that's automatically making clips out of these broadcasts. And usually it's amazing how rarely I find them good enough to use. But sometimes it's nice to have a clip, you know, 80% of the way done from it, and if the source video looks nicer, it just might as well make it nicer. You may have seen me post on like Instagram. I will make a clip from one of these morning broadcasts. So it's helpful for me to have the source be better. Heinrich says, I'm feeling nervous about organizing a retreat, but John, you're inspiring me. Well, let me know if you want to talk about it. I'd be nervous too. Like, I've never organized an overnight one, but that's something I want to look towards. Good morning, Monica. Michael says, I think it's healthy to hold beliefs and be convicted in an opinion, but also appreciate other takes, even if it's for their novelty. Well said. Gerbot says, belief makes real. That is truer than any of us know, I think. It's one of those. I mean, this is kind of the underlying philosophy behind the gratitude course that I'm making, is the idea that our minds are wired in certain ways. If you understand that, you're in such a better position to craft your world, because you're wired to notice everything going wrong. So if you practice paying attention to things going right, your experience of your life will include more of what's going right. And the more that you practice noticing it, like we are doing right now, the more you see it. The more the good things go from just taken for granted to awareness. Kind of like you are probably in this moment totally unaware of the sensation of being in your chair until you notice it. And you're like, oh yeah, I can feel my sit bones. There are thousands and thousands of things right now that you have the stimulus for, but you are not aware of. Because of that, you can't function if you're aware of everything that's happened is in your field at all times. So if you train yourself just to intentionally notice the good stuff, the world may not physically change, but your experience of the world can change dramatically. That's kind of the core of my philosophy and I think my work in the world. Monica says, Helen Langer demonstrated that we can reverse age just with the mind, no skills required. And I would include that in one of those categories of awesome. And there's a part of me that goes, I bet there are alternate ideas around that. But nothing wrong with totally holding on to that and making that your truth. Oh my God, that's the best line ever. Which one? Oh, what's the best line ever? Now I'm curious. Heinen says, I would love a conversation about it when you get back from Colorado, thinking about the resources and collaborations I can reach out to with my open heart, see where it leads. I'm gonna say that to myself. Thinking about resources and collaboration I can reach out to with my open heart and see where it leads. That's great. Yeah. I am so grateful for this practice and these moments of little banter and connection and reminder that we're not alone. You know, so much of, oh no. Oh well, it's all right. I was doing a test on my computer and so much of our paths of growth are solitary. Because in essence, no one ever understands you. We like to say, oh, I understand you, or you think your partner, oh, I get you, I understand. Nope. Nobody has the experience that you are having. Nobody fully understands the way you are seeing things, the way you're hearing things, the way things are affecting you and touching you, and the constant mind chatter that you're having. It's exclusively yours. But the process of healing that experience you're having, of soothing those thoughts, of removing the stuff that doesn't serve you, that process is dramatically eased and made more productive in community. Screaming into a canyon void, nothing wrong with that. That can be helpful. But telling another human that secret or that shame, that confession, there's something about it. Grateful for this community. Yay. Oh, well, I'm feeling, we've been talking a long time. Look at, time flies when you're excited about the bees. So I'll close after the hug. I'll play the bee video again that is not yet live, but I've got a little, so if you want to see what they did with the bees. But I'm grateful for this accountability to be here on the daily, to set this gratitude practice. I'm so grateful for my family, my parents who are still around. I'm grateful for my dad, saying that, he and my mom have never gotten along better. And I'm going to think about, who do I want to be today? And I encourage you to do the same. I want to be kind and patient. I want to be complimentary. I want to focus on connecting with others, whether strangers or maybe some friends, maybe leave some messages for sort of people that I care about. And I want to be a good partner. So, thanks, higher self me, for that reminder today. Gerbot says, amen for self-care. That's why I almost always start my day by making my bed. It's an easy way to show care for myself to start my day. Yeah. To be here. Isn't that what Ram Dass said? He said, be here now. Okay, I think that's too far. I am grateful that you did not fade into obscurity. I have thought about you often over the past couple of decades, and I treasure these chances to interact. Thanks, Michael. I really appreciate that. All right, well, with that, wherever you are, let's give ourselves a hug and feel this body it's been going for decades. Decades of cell regeneration and blood pumping and turning fuel that retains energy from the sun turning photosynthesizing, becoming a plant, ingesting it, or going into another animal, and then us ingesting that animal, and fueling this machine for decades and decades and decades and decades, and healing it and fighting off invasive microorganisms, and unbelievable. And grateful for this opportunity, this moment, to feel the connection to one another, to feel the shared humanity, to understand the parallel struggles and adventures and feelings that each of us is having, totally isolated in our experiences, and yet at some level so connected. So let's feel that connection in this moment as we take a deep breath in and squeeze one another. On behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all of us here, thanks for being here. I love you. I'm grateful for you and us. I'm gonna have to watch this archive to figure out what the best line ever was. Have a beautiful Thursday.